Hello everybody and welcome to the Dark Tutor MTG. My name is Jesse. I call myself the Dark Tutor. The reason why I call myself the Dark Tutor, I want to share my Magic experience with you guys as I tutor for the cards that I am looking for in my collection and for my decks. A little bit of a backstory about myself. I just started playing Magic about a year ago. Commander was the first format that I played, and Lord Windgrace was the very first deck that I bought. Over the last year, I've been working on building it up to be the best casual play that I can. Reason why I'm making this video for you guys today is Zendikar Rising. They got a huge boost to landfall, and for a while I went away from the landfall that it originally came with. Kind of just a different kind of pathway. And with Zendikar Rising, I was able to go back to landfall. I would like to share with you guys the new additions that I have added to, and just kind of go over my deck and see what you guys think. So please feel free to comment below, and if you like this video, go ahead and like and subscribe. I will be trying to make as much content as I can. It's not going to be too often, but I'm hoping over, the course of time, I will be able to produce more and hopefully do more for this channel. Enjoy, guys. All right, so here we go. With all the cards that I have in my deck, I went card for card and totaled it out with pricing. Just with the cards from the sets that I have. The total for this deck actually came out to just over $500. But of course, if you want the pre-con, I believe it's around $30, $40. I'm not too sure on that now. It's about the price that I paid for when I bought it. So also feel free to comment below what you guys think might actually make my deck a little bit better. There are some cards that I am missing. Some cards I am thinking of. Well, of course, the fetch lands. We got Verdant Catacombs is one that I need. Wooded Foothills. New card, Nissa of Shadow Bows. Oracle of Moldiah, or Dea. And as a maybe card, Allosaurus Shepherd. Purely for the fact that it allows your green spells not to be countered, and it itself cannot be countered. Alright, so first of all, let's go over Lord Windgrace. He is a Planeswalker. Those that are new to Commander, if you are using a Planeswalker, it must have this text. Lord Windgrace can be your commander. So let's go over the first one. Discard a card, then draw a card. If a land card is discarded this way, draw an additional card. Down tick 3. Return up to 2 target land cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. And then finally for negative 11, destroy up to 6 target non-land permanents, then create 6 2/2 green cat warrior creature tokens with Forest Walk. That one doesn't get too much use for me, but we're more worried about the top one and the second one here. Returning up to 2 target land cards from your graveyard to the battlefield is very, very big for landfall. Alright. Going to start us off with creatures. Going to go Omnath Locust of Rage. It's a great card. Landfall, whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, put a 5/5 red and green elemental creature token onto the battlefield. Whenever Omnath Locust of Rage or another elemental you control dies, Omnath deals 3 damage to target creature or player. That could be very useful in any ways. You get a bunch of tokens out. Somebody, board wipes, and you're doing a lot of damage to either their creatures or straight to the player themselves. Next up, we have Underrealm Lich. If you would draw a card, instead look at the top 3 cards of your library, then put 1 into your hand and the rest into your graveyard. Pay 4 life. Underrealm Lich gains indestructible until end of turn, and tap it. It's a great card to go with Lord Windgrace's first ability to discard a card and draw a card if it's a land. You draw 2 instead. because then you're looking at the top 6 cards of your library and you're selecting 2 of them to go in your hand. And if you're throwing away lands, it doesn't matter because you can get them back. Next up, Pathbreaker Ibex. This is a great game winner right here. Whenever Pathbreaker Ibex attacks, creatures you control gain trample and get XX until end of turn, where X is the greatest power among creatures you control. You have a lot of creatures you're attacking, and you're just going through with trample. It's a big game winner right here. Next up, Nesting Dragon. Now, this card I have considered taking out, but it's actually probably not a good idea because it does have flying. Landfall, whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, create a 0/2 red dragon egg creature token with defender, and when this creature dies, create a 2/2 red dragon creature token with flying and 1 red. This creature gets +1/+0 until end of turn. This is actually a great card because it usually gets deflected, and they go after this one more than some of the other cards I have down. Next up, Titania, Protector of Argoth. When Titania, Protector of Argoth enters the battlefield, return target land card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Whenever a land you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, create a 5/3 green elemental creature token. This is a great card because it also gives you graveyard play with your lands. You get a bonus for putting them into your graveyard from the battlefield, and just a nice little bonus. Of course, Azusa, Lost but Seeking. You may play 2 additional lands on each of your turns. Great card for landfall. Should be in every single landfall deck, of course. Alright, new one from Zendikar Rising, Phylath World Sculptor. When Phylath World Sculptor enters the battlefield, create a 0/1 green plant creature token for each basic land you control. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, put 4 1/1 counters on target plants you control. A little bit of a downside is, you only get, the plant tokens for the basic lands. In this deck, I do have a lot of non-basics. Haven't really considered that quite yet, but we'll go over the reason why in a little bit. Whipton Hydra. Reach. When Whipton Hydra enters the battlefield, destroy all creatures with flying. Put a 1/1 counter on Whipton Hydra for each creature destroyed this way. This is a great protector against flyers. I took it out once and then immediately regretted it. Another new one from Zendikar Rising, Territory Scythecat. Trample, landfall, whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, put a 1/1 counter on Territorial Scythecat. This is one of the ones I really liked out of all the landfallers because it gives you a counter instead of just giving it for the end of turn. Now this one. This was an exciting pull for me. Ancient Green Warden, Reach. You may play lands from your graveyard. If a land entering the battlefield causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. So that is just phenomenal. A phenomenal addition to the landfall mechanic, which I have been really, really wanting to go back to and actually making my Lord Windgrace what he was meant to do, landfall. Great card. Multani. Multani, Yavimaya's Avatar. Great card. Reach, Trample. Multani gets 1/1 for each land you control and each land card in your graveyard. Pay 1+ green. Return 2 lands you control to their owner's hand. Return Multani from your graveyard to your hand. So he must be exiled. So great late game potential. You're pulling out lands. You got 20 lands. That's a 20/20 creature that you have, and you pair him with the Ibex, and that's game. It's game. Of course, Lotus Cobra. really love this art actually. From the new Zendikar Rising. I did have the original printing from, I don't know if it's actually original, if that was the first time that Lotus Cobra was introduced, but from the Zendikar set, when it was actually a mythic. But great card. Whenever land enters the battlefield under your control, add 1 mana of any color. That is huge. This is another new card I picked up. I actually really liked it because whenever a land comes into play under your control, untap Stone Seer Hierophant. And then, of course, tap to untap target land. So you can use this many ways. You know, a little bit of a mana ramp. You know, you got a Zeus on the field. You can play 3 lands per turn, and you're dropping 3 lands. You're getting 3 extra lands with each tap. And Jesus, if you pair it with Lotus Cobra, oh, the amount of land that you can get in one turn allow you to play all those expensive cards a lot sooner than you would like, or than your opponent would like. All right, next up we got Sakura Tribe Scout. Pretty simple. Tap, you may put a land card from your hand into play. It's a 1-pay. Great card, especially if you want to use it at the end of your opponent's turn to sneak in an extra land before it's your turn. You know, you got landfall, you're creating tokens, and that'll give them the ability to attack with your next turn. Next up, I really like this card from Zendikar Rising. It's a Defender Reach Tuk Tuk Rubble Fort. It has Defender Reach, and creatures you control have haste. So it's kind of big. Haste is really big if you're dropping, you know, landfalls. You know, especially if you're dropping Pylath or Phylath, World Sculptor. So really, really good card. I feel. Rada Heart of the Keld. I really like her. As long as it's your turn, Radha Heart of the Keld has first strike. This is big. You may look at the top card of your library at any time, and you may play lands from the top of your library. And of course, the bottom play 4, 1 red, 1 green. Radha gets XX until end of turn, where X is the number of lands you control. So, great early game potential and great late game potential. This one I was really excited to get. Morag Fury of Akum. Each creature you control gets +1/+0 for each time it has attacked this turn. Landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, if it's your main phase, there's an additional combat phase after this phase. At the beginning of that combat, untap all creatures you control. This is... I haven't been able to use this properly yet, but when using it, definitely you want to use it on your second main phase. With the rulings that I understand is that if you do use it on your first main phase, once those attack phases are over, it ends your turn. It does not give you your second main phase. I don't necessarily understand the reasonings why. It hasn't necessarily been explained to me to where I can understand, but one day I will understand. But yeah, second main phase for sure. There's another one, Ramunap Excavator. I mean, it's simple enough. You may play land cards from your graveyard. Really goes well if you have your sack lands, you know, playing them again and again. You're dropping 2 lands per turn. Great stuff. Alright, this is the one right here too, Avenger of Zendikar. When Avenger of Zendikar enters the battlefield, create a 0/1 plant creature token for each land you control. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you may put a 1/1 counter on each plant creature you control. So that paired with Phylath would just be devastating, because not only are you putting 4/1 counters on one plant, you're putting 1 on each of your plants and 5 on one. So that is big potential. This is actually the reason why I had so little basic lands, which I definitely need to consider putting more basic lands in, especially with the amount of search for basic land cards that I have, or the sack to search. So this is a major. Rampaging Ballast, of course, trample landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you may create a 4/4 beast creature token. Simple enough. Brawn, trample. As long as Brawn is in your graveyard and you control a forest, creatures you control have trample. So this is a great card to actually really pair with Windgrace, using his first ability to discard a card. You have this in your hand. You know, if you have this on the field, nobody's going to target, nobody's going to block, because they don't want you to have Tramper. They don't want this in your graveyard. So with Windgrace, you can put it straight into your graveyard, and you control a forest, you immediately have Trample. This one is absolutely disgusting. Scoot Swarm from Zendikar Rising. Landfall, whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, create a 1/1 green insect creature token. If you control 6 or more lands, create a token that's a copy of Scoot Swarm instead. So basically, once you have 6 more lands, you are doubling your Scoot Swarms with every land that you drop. I played the other day. I got a Forest and a Soul Ring on the first turn. Second turn had him out. Within the next 6 turns, I had over 100 of these things on the battlefield. Insane card. Absolutely insane. Brushfire Elemental. This is definitely one of my cards that can be replaced. But I just like it because it's early game haste. And it can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less. Not necessarily good for Commander. Probably better in standard play, but yeah, whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, Brushfire Elemental gets +2/+2 until end of turn. So early game, you get this guy out, you can be doing some damage. Do kind of wish it had trample, but yeah. Yavimaya Elder. This was a replacement for Tribal Scout Elder, I believe. When he dies, you may search your library for up to 2 basic land cards, reveal them, and put them in your hand. Then shuffle your library. This, to me, it ensures that I have land to drop. And then, of course, you could pay 2 to sacrifice him. You get the draw out of it, and you get 2 lands to your hand. So, pretty decent card. I actually kind of don't necessarily like it, but it does have its uses. Scute Mob. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control 5 or more lands, put 4 1/1 counters on Scute Mob. This can get out of control really, really quickly. And I've actually had it out of my deck for a while. Realized what a mistake I made, and here it is. Courser of Crewfix. Play with the top card of your library revealed. You may play the top card of your library if it's a land. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 1 life. This is actually a really good card, but I feel like it can be replaced by Oracle of Moldiah, because Oracle of Moldiah allows you to play an extra land on your turn. So if you have Azusa on the field, you have Oracle, that's 4 lands you can drop in 1 turn. So easily replaced by that card. I believe Oracle's around $30 right now, so it's not the cheapest card, but I feel it would be better. Alright, next up we're going to go Enchantments. Start off with Defense of the Heart. This card is vital for this deck, because during your upkeep, if one of your opponents controls 3 or more creatures, sacrifice Defense of the Heart, search your library for up to 2 creature cards, and put those creatures into play. So you bring them straight to the battlefield. I mean, before, of course, Phylath came out, I, pull Multani, pull Ibex, and you pull Avenger of Zendikar. You're dropping lands immediately, or you're getting all of your tokens, your plant tokens, and then you still get to start off dropping lands. So not only do they come to the battlefield, they start growing in strength immediately. So, I mean, there's many different combinations that you can do. with this Avenger of Zendikar and Phylath at the same time. Oh, oh, ugh, disgusting. Yeah, this is a must. Doubling Season. If an effect would create one or more token under your control, it creates twice that many of the tokens instead. If an effect would put one or more counters on a permanent you control, it puts twice that many of those counters on that permanent instead. So this card is absolutely fantastic. It took me a little bit to get this card in my deck, but I made some trades with my friend and ended up in my deck. So this is a pretty expensive card. Of course, it's like 40, 50 bucks depending on the set that you want, but yeah, you pair it with, I mean, shit, if you can get this on the battlefield, definitely expect it to be targeted. If you can at least get one turn out of this, it can be devastating. Next up, Garruk's Uprising. It's a nice little draw card, help you out when Garruk Uprising enters the battlefield. If you control a creature with power 4 or greater, draw a card. Creatures you control have trample. That's actually one reason why it is in the deck. Whenever a creature with power 4 or greater enters the battlefield under your control, draw a card. So nice little draw, give you trample. Barumba. Enchant creature gets +2/+2 and has whenever this creature attacks, untap all lands you control, and it is a totem armor. So if this creature would be destroyed, you remove all damage from it and destroy this aura. It's kind of weird wording for that. But yeah, it's a great card. Put it down, attack, you get your lands back, then your second main phase will be a lot better. Exploration, this one is huge as well. You may play in additional lands on each of your turns. So, not really much explanation to that. You know, you have this on the field, you have a Zeus on the field, you're throwing 5 lands down per turn. What is it? Is it 5? This one? No, that's Gitrog. I'm thinking of Gitrog. But still, that's 4 lands that you can throw down on one turn. Devastating for landfall. Plus, it's a 1 pay. Throw it down early. Next, Kenrith's Transformation. So enchant creature, Kenrith's Transformation. Enchant creature when Kenrith's Transformation enters the battlefield to draw a card. Enchant creature lose all abilities and is a green elk creature with base power and toughness 3/3. So you can take care of someone's commander, give you a little bit of a boost. You also get a card, so it's a nice little deflection here. Next up, we're going to go Sorceries. This card needs to come out of my deck for sure. It came with the deck, but it's a nice little destroy card. Ruinous Path. Destroy target creature or planeswalker. So it's nice because it gives you a target creature or you can destroy a planeswalker. Okay, so Awaken 4. Pay 5 black. If you cast a spell for its Awaken cost, also put 4 1/1 counters on target land you control, and it becomes a 0/0 elemental creature with haste. It's still a land, so that is, I don't know. I don't necessarily like this card. I use it basically for the destroy and planeswalker. I don't necessarily use this card. There's a couple cards in here that I just haven't really looked or found a better card for it yet. Lavalanche, this one's good because it deals X damage to target player or planeswalker, and each creature that player or that planeswalker's controls. So it's nice. You have a pesky planeswalker on the field, you can do X damage to it and all of its creatures. Same to the player. Really good card. I actually really like this one. Cleansing Wildfire, new one from Zendikar. Destroy target land. Its controller may search their land for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle their library, and you get to draw a card. It is, like I said, sorcery speed, but this is actually a good card that you can have if you have Titania on the battlefield. Destroy your own land, you get a land. So not only are you doing the grave fall, let's call it that, you get your landfall as well. So really, really nice addition. I haven't necessarily used it yet, but yeah, we'll get there one day. New one from Zendikar, Turntimber Symbiosis. Look at the top 7 cards of your library. You may put a creature card from among them onto the battlefield. If that card has converted mana cost 3 or less, it enters the battlefield with 3 additional 1/1 counters on it, and you put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So this one's nice. I actually pulled out the Scythe Cat with this. So not only did I have my landfaller, it got a +3/+3 on it, so it was actually pretty ramped. It also, this is a flip card, so it also gives you the choice of putting it down as a land. It enters the battlefield. You may pay 3 life. If you don't, it enters the battlefield tapped. So this one's cool too, because you could just, like, if you're sacrificing lands, you put this back into your well, I'm guessing actually if it were to go in the graveyard, it would have to go back to its front face. So if anything, there is a way to get this out. You can get this out. There's a couple cards in here that you can, and that I have in here that allows you to pull cards from your graveyard, which will probably be coming up soon. I like this one, Broken Bond, because you could just do destroy target artifact or enchantment. You may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield. Really nice. 2-pay. Shamanic Revelation. Draw a card for each creature you control. Ferocious, you gain 4 life for each creature you control with power 4 or greater. So this can get you that land, or get you that draw. And it could also, you know, you have a bunch of 4/4s. I mean, you're dealing with stronger creatures here in this deck, so possibility for you to gain more life. And there's another card I have in here that actually almost destroyed me, but with using this card, but with the amount of life that I gained was really nice. Gaze of Granite, I like this one too. It is a board wipe. Destroy each non-land permanent with converted mana cost X or less. I still like this card a lot. This one, purely just did it for cheap. Was a Maelstrom Pulse. Basically just did it for a cheap destroy. Found it in Double Masters, but destroy target non-land permanent and all other permanents with same name as that permanent. So obviously this is a standard play card. Something I just threw in to get rid of Putrefy or something like that. But there we go. Bala Ged Recovery. This is the card I was talking about. Return target card from your graveyard to your hand. So this one you can even pull out the, what was this? Turn Timber. Bring out Turn Timber. Bring it back to your hand. Play it as a land, or play its actual ability as a sorcery. This one also flip card as a land. Does come in tapped, but still kind of gives you a little bit of extra land. That's what I like about these double-sided land sorceries / instants and whatnot. Alright, next one. We got Praetor's Council. I found this card in a collection that me and my buddy bought. This has actually saved my life so many times, but return all cards from your graveyard to your hand. Exile Praetor's Council. You have no maximum hand size for the rest of the game. There's a pretty interesting combo if you have green-black. I can't remember what the name of the card is, but it's a card where you can flip your graveyard and your library. So if you have this in your hand, you flip your library and your graveyard, boom, you just drew out your entire deck. And the possibilities, I don't know, it's just kind of a crazy combination. I don't know if it'll work right, especially in this deck, but maybe something. Decimate. Destroy target artifact, target creature, target enchantment, and target land. This is good in many different ways, of course. So I think works best. It works best for me if I'm playing against just a solo game, playing with one other opponent. But you're playing with 4 opponents. politics works. So you can destroy the. You can really hold people back with this card, especially if one person is going off or a couple people are going off and you need to take care of one or two of their things. And then Grim Tutor. Search your library for a card, put that card into your hand, then shuffle your library, you lose 3 life. Yep. Grim Tutor. Alright, that's it for sorceries. No, it's not actually. I have more. Why did I have those in separate piles? Anyways. Far Wanderings. Search your library for a basic land card, put that card into battlefield tapped, then shuffle your library. It has threshold. If 7 or more cards are into your graveyard, instead, search your library for up to 3 basic land cards, put them onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle your library. Great later play, but still useful in the beginning. Nature's Claim. 1 pay, destroy target artifact or enchantment. Its controller gains 4 life. Moment's Peace. This is a big card actually in my deck. It has helped the table out. It has helped me out. Purely for the flashback, but prevent all combat damage that would be dealt this turn. You know, somebody swinging at you with 8 Blightsteel Colossuses. Gonna take out the entire table. Prevent all combat damage. And then at flashback, you save them for 2 turns. Maybe we can band together and help the game go out a little bit longer. Crop Rotation. As an additional cost to cast a spell, sacrifice land. Search your library for a land card. Put that card into the battlefield, and then shuffle your play. So that's good. Pairing with Titania and any landfallers. Windgrace's Judgment. This one is actually a kind of expensive instant, but wait. Oh. That's why I messed up. I had a sorcery in my instant pile. Oops. Alright. So for any number of opponents, destroy target non-land permanent that player controls. So it's a good card if you're playing multiples, or if you're playing with more than one opponent. So you get to destroy, you know, politic away. Figure out who gets to keep what and who's losing. Metamorphose is a good card too. I like using this one. Add 2 mana in any combination of colors. Draw a card. So just use this, draw a card real quick. Use the mana to cast your commander or whatever. Nice early game. Worldly Tutor. Search your library for a creature card and reveal that card to all players. Shuffle your library and put the revealed card back on top of it. So, really nice tutoring card. Harrow, of course. As an additional cost to cast a spell, sacrifice land. Search your library for up to 2 basic land cards and put them onto the battlefield. And then shuffle your library. Zendikar came out with something similar to this. Same cost, same text, except they come in tapped. So this is definitely really essential for the landfall deck. Beast Within. Destroy target permanent. Its controller creates a 3/3 beast token. Really nice. Definitely needed in well, any green deck. For sure. Heroic Intervention. Finally got my hands on this one. Really nice. You're creating so many tokens and somebody wants to destroy all of them. Nope. Permanents you control gain hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. Moving on to artifacts. I feel like I should have done my lands first. Oh, whatever. Alright. Emerald Medallion. I feel like this one could be replaced probably with a Mana Crypt. But Emerald Medallion, green spells you cast 1 less to cast. I guess early play. I don't necessarily pull it early too often, but yeah. Alhamra's Archive, this is the one I was talking about earlier. If you would gain life, you gain twice that much life instead. If you would draw a card, except the first one, you draw in each of your draw steps, draw 2 cards instead. So this actually really pairs well with Lord Windgrace, or even Lord Windgrace, Underrealm Lich. Shamanic Revelation. Yeah. So this is where it really almost got me. Because I had a bunch of creatures on the field. I gained 4 life for each of the creatures, and then I drew a card for each creature I control. But I drew double that, almost drew out my entire deck, almost lost the game. But, yeah. Good card. Soul Ring, of course. Tap to add 2 colorless. This one I like too. Skyclave Pickaxe. When Skyclave Pickaxe enters the battlefield, attaches to target creature you control. Landfall, whenever land enters the battlefield under your control, equip creature gets 2/2 until end of turn. So it's nice. 1 pay, comes in, already attached. You pay 3 later if that creature dies, but nice. Mana Vault. Of course, Mana Vault does not untap during your untap phase. If it remains tapped during your upkeep, Mana Vault deals 1 damage to you. Pay 4, untap Mana Vault, use this ability only during your upkeep. And then, of course, tap to add 3 colorless mana to your mana pool. Play these additions as interrupts. Talisman of Resilience, tap to add colorless, tap to add swamp or forest. Talisman of Resilience deals 1 damage to you. And Lightning Greaves, of course, to help protect some of your more valuable cards on the battlefield. Nothing too special. Alright, so now we go to lands. Forge of Heroes. It's nice. Tap to add colorless. Choose target commander that enters the battlefield this turn. Put a 1/1 counter on it if it's a creature, and a loyalty counter if it's a planeswalker. So this one actually pair well with Doubling Season. If you haven't dropped your commander yet, drop your commander. It comes in with double its counters, and then you tap this to give it 1 more. Lord Windgrace comes in with 5. It comes in with 10. Tap it to give it 1 more loyalty counter. You're ultimating it in a single drop. Pretty crazy. Bajuka Bog. Enters the battlefield tapped. When Bajuka Bog enters the battlefield, exile all cards from target player's graveyard. It's nice. Filterland, Firelit Thicket. A new one from Zendikar, Crag Crown Pathway. Other side is green. This side is black, or this side is red. Kind of disappointed. I don't think they have black and green pathway in this set, but I've got a couple of them. Blood Crypt, of course, as Blood Crypt enters the battlefield, you may pay 2 life. If you don't, it enters the battlefield tap. Nice little shock land. Another filter land, Twilight Mire. Llanowar Wastes. Rootbound Crag. Mosswort Bridge. Hideaway. So when this enters the battlefield, when it does, look at the top 4 cards of your library, exile 1 face down, then put the rest on the bottom of your library. Add green, tap to add green, pay green, tap, so you may play the exile card without paying its mana cost if creatures you control have total power 10 or greater. Not really hard to get in this deck. Savage Lands, probably going to take it out just for some more basics. This one, I love this card, especially if you get it on the first one. Enters the battlefield tap. When it enters the battlefield, create a 0/1 green plant creature token. Tap to add green. Of course, your command tower. Bondler's Enclave. Nice little card from Ikoria. Tap to add colorless. Pay 3 to draw a card. Activate this ability only if you control a creature with power 4 or greater. So a little bit of draw help. Maybe can come out, but we'll see. We got the dual bounce lands. Kind of like to combo these with that plant creator land. It's nice if you have this in your hand. I've been kind of thinking about taking these out. They should have their purposes, but I don't know. It's a hard decision. Yeah, Rakdos Carnarium, Golgari Rob Farm, Rural Turf, Now, most of these cards did come from the pre-con decks, so just haven't really taken some of them out. Of course, Fable Passage, sacrifice Fable Passage, search your library for a basic land card, put it on the battlefield tab, then shuffle your library, and if you control 4 or more lands, untap that land. Great card. So all the sack lands coming up. Bloodstained Mire, pay 1 life, sacrifice Bloodstained Mire, search your library for a swamp or mountain card, and put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle your library. Jund Panorama. Of course, the big ability, pay 1 to sacrifice and search your library for a basic swamp, mountain, or forest card and put it on the battlefield tapped. Shuffle your library. Myriad Landscape comes in tapped. Pay 2, tap to search your library for up to 2 basic land cards that share a land type. Put them onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle your library. So these are definitely essential for your landfall deck. Being able to play lands from your graveyard. Being able to just put them back onto the battlefield. Next Blighted Woodland. 3, 1 green, tap, sacrifice it for search up to 2 basic lands, bring them in tapped. Horse of Open Wilds. Terramorphic Expanse. Mountain Valley, which definitely needs to be replaced by Wooded Foothills. I did take my other one out, but it's a great card to get back to. The only thing is it comes in tapped. That's the hardest thing. And then Warp Landscape for a final. Pay 2, sacrifice, bring 1 land. 1 basic land. So these are the reasons why I need to put more basic lands in here. Definitely a couple of them that need to come out, but is right now what I have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 12 total basic lands in here. Especially with Phylath going in here. Definitely need to add some more things. But actually, there is one thing that I completely forgot. And that is my Planeswalker Renin 6. Beautiful card for this deck. I got extremely lucky with this card. My buddy sold it to me for 35 bucks. A week later, it was up to 80. Now it's down to about 50, but it's a great card. Uptick, return up to 1 target land card from your graveyard to your hand. Big. Renin 6 deals 1 damage to any target. Not so big. Not really worried about you getting an emblem with instant and sorcery cards in your graveyard. Have retrace. I still actually don't even know what retrace means, but I should know by the next video. But anyways, guys, that's it. That is my Windgrace deck. Let me know what you think. Go ahead, comment below if you like it. Of course, subscribe. I will be trying to do as much content as I can. Later, I am actually really hoping to get my hands on a Zendikar Rising collector box. Also want to work on getting a Jumpstart box to open for you guys, because that's where I most likely will find Oracle of Moldiah and Allosaurus Shepherd. But of course, I definitely need to try to get my hands on Wooded Foothills, Verdant Catacombs, and as of right now, I am just preferring to open boxes instead of buying singles, because it's a lot more fun that way. Alright guys, thank you for watching. Stay safe and be kind.